Well, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by a solicitor of the Supreme Court, Mr. Osahon Ihenyen. You're welcome to the news at 10.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, let's just look at what happened at the National Assembly today, beginning with the House of Representatives, the rowdy session, and the referral that Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila made to the, he called him the Deputy Minority Leader, Honorable Leo Ogor. What was this anticipated in any way?
I don't know. Well, I do not think that it should be anticipated really, because there's been reports that some members of the House of Representatives, I think reports in the newspapers that 37 of them defected to APC. Probably that informed what he said when he said that the PDP has now become the minority party in the House. I think that's probably what it meant. But if you see, I'm sure you saw the rowdy session there, some for it and some against it, which I don't think right now we can really say that any party has a majority there, except of course what we should actually say is that the position is still the same. The PDP is still in the majority, because except there are figures that they can show us that shows that APC now has majority in the House. I think the position is still largely the same.
But what does that really say about cross-carpeting in the House? I mean, because, well, if you look at the ideologies of both political parties, they look almost the same. So really, what has changed?
Do they really have ideologies? The Nigerian political parties, I don't think they have ideologies. Really, the difference between PDP and APC is like the difference between 6 and half a dozen, if you ask me. I do not think that there is anything different from one party to the other. In fact, they have a common thread that joins them together, and that is corruption. There's nothing really different in the two political parties. In the days of Adeola-Akande, you were sure that if you were in Lagos and all the Yoruba states, you would have free education, you have free health. But today, you do not have such a situation. They are just the same. The only thing that binds the two political parties together is, of course, corruption. No ideology, nothing whatsoever. Like I said earlier on, the difference really between the two of them is like the difference between 6 and half a dozen.
Well, it was the same, well, the National Assembly, of course, met today. Then the Senate also met, and you could see the contrast in both houses. The House of Representatives ended in a rowdy session, but the Senate was much more calmer. What does this say really about the attitudes in both houses?
I think members of the Senate are more matured statesmen, and it is expected that they will behave the way they have behaved. I think largely members of the House of Representatives, for most of the time, they behave like some secondary school pupils. I do not have any apologies for that. They do not behave like mature people. Some things that they do, like if you remember the Etegate and the rest of it, where they were fighting in the House and all, I don't think most of those things that they do, they will be proud to have their children watch them on television. But the members of the Senate, they're largely statesmen, more mature people, more responsible people, and that is what you see always in their attitude.
But the division in the lower house, would it in any way affect, the day-to-day runnings of the House? Would it affect executive bills? What sort of uncertainty does it hold for leadership?
Like I said earlier on, there is really no difference between the two political parties. Probably the only thing that joins them together really is the amount of money that by way of Ghana must go that exchange hands when bills are discussed, debated, and passed. Apart from that, the difference between the two political parties really, if you ask me, is like the difference between saying a cup is half full and somebody else says it's half empty. There's really no difference between the two political parties.
Mr. Ihenyen, thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10. Mr. Osahon Ihenyen is